26 seconds left. Aaliyah Boston fights for a rebound against Jackie Young. The whistle blows, 6th foul, she's out. The challenge fails. Young sinks the free throws. Indiana's season hangs by a thread, and their best player is sitting on the bench watching it all fall apart. But here's the thing nobody wants to talk about. That wasn't just basketball. That was the moment an entire series got exposed for what it really was. Game 5 between the Indiana Fever and Las Vegas Aces wasn't decided by talent. It was decided by a whistle that seemed to have its own agenda from the opening tip. And by the time the final buzzer sounded in overtime, one thing became crystal clear. The Fever didn't lose this game. It was taken from them. From game 1, something felt off. Every time Indiana built momentum, the flow got interrupted. Suddenly, there's a foul, possession goes back to Vegas. The pattern repeated itself so consistently that even casual fans started noticing. Aaliyah Boston became the poster child for phantom calls. She'd set a screen that barely made contact, whistle. She'd box out for a rebound using textbook positioning, whistle. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell and Lexie Hull fought through defenders who were practically wearing them like backpacks, and nothing. The numbers told a story that was impossible to ignore. Free throw attempts heavily favored Las Vegas, not by a little, by margins that suggested something beyond normal game flow. Fever coach Stephanie White even admitted the inconsistency made it nearly impossible to game plan. How do you prepare when the same action gets called one way in the first quarter and completely differently in the fourth? But if the first 4 games planted seeds of doubt, Game 5 made everything explode into full view. Early in the second half, Boston got hit with one of the softest moving screen calls you'll ever witness. She barely grazes the defender, but the whistle comes anyway. Minutes later, Megan Gustafson takes a dive that would have earned her an Oscar nomination. Boston gets called for the offensive foul. Then came the moment that defined the entire series. 26 seconds left in regulation. Boston and Jackie Young battle for a rebound. It's just 2 players fighting for position, the kind of contact that happens on literally every possession in playoff basketball. Whistle, 6th foul, Boston is done. Indiana challenges desperately. Kelsey Mitchell spent the entire night getting pummeled. Defenders draped on her on every cut. Hips checking her on drives. Arms across her body when she tried to shoot. Nothing. No whistle. Her body finally gave out midway through the third quarter. After draining a 3, she grabbed her leg and collapsed. Muscle cramps. They had to help her to the locker room. 15 points already on the board, and she'd been the offensive engine keeping Indiana alive. Other moments piled up that made the whole thing feel even more wrong. Jackie Lloyd shoved Lexie Hull so hard that fans expected an immediate flagrant review. Nothing happened. Natasha Howard got raked across the eyes. Silence. The official count showed 25 fouls called on Indiana. Vegas practically set up camp at the free throw line. A'ja Wilson alone took 10 trips to the stripe. Boston, fighting under the rim every single possession, managed 2. And yet Indiana refused to quit. Down players, down calls, down their leader in the middle. They kept fighting. Odyssey Sims exploded for 27 points, carrying them back into a tie at the end of regulation. The game went to overtime not because the whistle gave them life, but because they simply wouldn't hand Vegas the win. That's defiance. That's a team saying, we're not going away no matter how hard you try to push us out. Let's talk about the performances that made this game unforgettable. Odyssey Sims wasn't even on the roster for most of the season. Signed late on a hardship contract, she was supposed to be a body filling minutes. Instead, she became the heartbeat of Game 5. 27 points on 50% shooting, 6 assists, moving the ball, blowing past defenders, finishing through contact that never got rewarded. Her layup late in regulation tied the game and sent everyone into overtime with genuine belief. Kelsey Mitchell's night was heartbreaking in every sense. Before her body gave out, she was absolutely cooking. 15 points, 3 for 3 from deep. Vegas had no answer for her. Watching her collapse with cramps after fighting through so much contact felt cruel. She'd given every ounce of energy she had, and her body literally forced her out. Lexie Hull deserves her own chapter in this story, playing through a back injury that would have kept most players off. What makes Hull's performance even more significant is what she said after the game. She didn't sugarcoat it. She stepped forward as one of the strongest voices demanding accountability, not just for that game, but for how the entire series was officiated. Her willingness to speak up showed why Indiana fans are ready to rally behind her for years to come. Here's what Lexie Hull actually said when asked about the loss. "I think that's something we can take away from this season. Obviously, ending on a loss is hard and not what you want, but I do think that we can be proud of the effort we put out there, especially in the fourth quarter. Losing Aaliyah, losing Kelsey, two of our biggest stars go down, and we continue to fight and send it to overtime. So I think we're proud of ourselves. We're proud of that fight." Those words reveal everything about the culture Indiana built this season. No excuses, no deflection, just honest pride in the effort and heartbreak over how it ended. Hull understood what everyone watching understood. They'd done everything possible to win that game, and it still wasn't enough when the whistle kept working against them. When asked if the adversity felt like a microcosm of the whole season, Hull didn't hesitate. "Yeah, I mean, that's what Steph said in the huddle. Like, we're built for this moment. When Kelsey went down and then we're challenging the call on AB, we've been here before. So it's just so unlucky, so crazy that had to happen tonight." Built for this moment. That phrase carries weight because it came true even in a loss. The Fever were built for adversity. They'd survived it all season long. 6 season-ending injuries, hardship contracts just to field a full rotation, and yet they didn't fold. They showed up and competed at the highest level even when circumstances tried to bury them. The most important part of this story isn't how it ended, it's what it started. While Las Vegas moves on to celebrate another finals appearance, Indiana walks away with something far more valuable: proof they've officially arrived as a legitimate threat in this league. A 6 seed that nobody expected to be standing at this point just pushed the 2-time defending champions to overtime in a deciding Game 5. The core Indiana built is genuinely scary when you project forward. Caitlin Clark, the generational talent who transformed this franchise overnight, will be back. When you add role players who've now tasted playoff basketball and understand what it takes to compete at that level, you start to realize this isn't just a fun young team anymore. This is the beginning of something that could dominate the league for years. Indiana's championship window isn't somewhere down the line anymore. It's swinging open right now. The narrative around this series will focus on controversy, and honestly, it should. What happened in Game 5 wasn't acceptable. The officiating imbalance wasn't subtle. It was glaring enough that even casual observers couldn't ignore it. But here's what shouldn't get lost in that conversation. The Fever's identity isn't defined by the calls that went against them. It's defined by how they responded. Gritty, unafraid, relentless. The march toward next season starts now. Caitlin Clark returns with a full season of experience and a chip on her shoulder. Aaliyah Boston comes back stronger and more determined after watching how this season ended. Kelsey Mitchell, Lexie Hull, and the rest of this core return with playoff scars and the knowledge that they can compete with anyone in this league. The pieces are in place. The culture is established. The belief is real. What happened in that overtime loss to Vegas wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. The beginning of something that's going to make the rest of the WNBA very uncomfortable for years to come. Because when a team can fight through that much adversity, overcome that many obstacles, and still push the defending champions to the brink, you're not watching a team that's satisfied with just competing anymore. You're watching a team that knows exactly what it takes to win championships. The Fever proved everything they needed to prove this season. They proved they belong. They proved they can compete with the elite. They proved they have the culture and talent to build a dynasty. Now it's just about finishing what they started. And after what everyone witnessed in Game 5, there's no doubt they're capable of doing exactly that.